Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. I'm Brad. Today, of course, you clicked on the video because you want to know what it looks like with McDavid on the Red Wings. Come on, I know that's the main thing. I know. But we're not gonna get to it first. We're gonna go over just a couple things real quick. So, really, it's only one other thing. The big thing is we had new numbers, right? So we got some new numbers from guys. So that's basically we're gonna jump into that real quick, knock that out, talk about who you had those numbers for. It's not a big deal, but we will talk about McDavid and kind of what it looks like. So hold on to your horses. We're going to jump right into it. So let me just share my screen real quick and we will get back to it. So we got some new numbers from some of the guys. We have, as I'm pulling my screen, if you're watching on YouTube, you can absolutely watch it on YouTube. If not, here is the numbers on the screen and everything. So I'll go a little bit easier. So the new numbers are James Van Riemsdyk is number 21. Appleton is 22. Bernard Docker is 25. Gibson is 36. And Travis Hamonic is 52. And by the way, Travis Hamonic actually had a nice little interview come out talking about how he was really fortunate that the Red Wings gave him a chance and everything. So real quick, I do want to go over who had these numbers before, just so you guys can see like, hey, this is like, it's kind of cool like to see like who had it before and everything. So going over those real quick. We have, let's see, I'm pulling these back up real quick. I gotta get the right format. Anyways, so the numbers who had it before. So we're talking about number 21. Number 21, and this is more like maybe who had it before, but who also was one of the more significant people that had it. Just to go through, a lot of people. So just so you know, for number 21, for James Van Riemsdyk, in the Red Wings organization, it looks like, goodness gracious, is this 45 players? No way. Holy, I think it's like 50 some players have had it. And just to show you like how far this one goes, it goes back all the way to 1951, number 21, which is crazy. So you had like guys like Adam Oates, Mike Sillinger, like Boyd Devereaux, like there's some really like significant guys. The big one as of recent, I'd say it was Tomas Tatar from 2011 to 2018. But those are like the bigger ones, right? So and then also, Austin Zarnik was another one that was kind of relative in this case. Number 22, not as many people had this one, but the big ones that the Matt Luff was the last one to have it. A guy who had it for had a little bit longer. You see like Brett Lebda, like Mike Commodore, who you follow on Twitter, he's phenomenal. Martin Lapointe, right? Dennis Hextall. Where's the other one I was looking for? Dino Ciccarelli, which is crazy to think about. Like, I haven't seen ever Dino Ciccarelli is a little bit wild. So, 25. You know, there's two big ones, but the one big one, of course, is Darren McCarty. Mike Green did have it from 2016 to 2020, but Darren McCarty, of course, had it from 1994 to 2009. Won 4 Stanley Cups with that. So 97, 98, 2002, and 2008, which is crazy. And then Taharosi had it most recently, but again, not a huge impact there. Number 36. The last person to have it was Christian Fischer, who played with the Red Wings last year, but was waived and claimed with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Not a huge number there. I always thought the 30s were like goalie numbers. I never liked having a guy who had a number in the 30s. Because to me, the 30s are goalie numbers. Of course, my favorite 30 numbers, 39. Hasek, baby. So, and of course, we have 52. One of the most iconic 52s was Jonathan Berggren. No, that's not it. It was it's Brogan Rafferty. No, it's not it. Jonathan Erickson from 2008 to 2020. This guy was called upon. Oh, and Dave Lewis as well, which is crazy because Dave Lewis was an assistant captain for the 2008, or the assistant coach for the 2008 Stanley Cup, which is crazy. But Jonathan Erickson had from 2008 to 2020. Guy that was mocked by a lot of Red Wings fans, but he played a role. He won a Stanley Cup with them, and he was probably asked to do more than he should have. That's just basically it. So his tenure did not fully work out, but this guy was a Mr. Irrelevant. It was 2005 draft, I want to say. When was he drafted? He was drafted in 2002, 9th round, 291st overall by Detroit. So in 2002 draft, which is crazy. So, and he premiered in 2007, 2008. And again, won a Stanley Cup that year. So poor guy, made it all the way there. But again, it's good for him, man. You know, he got it. He got his flowers. He did play 680 games in the Red Wings uniform. So good on him. So, okay. So now that you've clicked on the clickbaity side of this, and again, this is more my own fun. I wanted to go over this with, McDavid to the Red Wings. And so we're going to run through this real quick just to like say, okay, hey, this is it. We got to kind of like play it out, right? I haven't done it yet. I'm going to. So one of the things I want to consider is what, again, so this is considering that, not Raymond, McDavid, and I'm not doing cap and all that stuff. I just want to kind of look at what it looks like and have some questions on what a guy like McDavid would look like on the Red Wings. And the thing is, the reason I'm asking is because there's talks about, he's most likely going to sign in Edmonton. So one, I want to do this before he signs in Edmonton. Two, there's other talks it was the teams that he was potentially being considered with was Edmonton, of course. You have an LA, right? A big money, big contract, big city, right? Where they make a huge impact there. New York Rangers, right? Another original 6 team, or any other original 6 teams. So it's 8 other teams, right? Maybe he wants to go like a Florida or like a Dallas, maybe, right? Those are guys that like, I don't know if like Carolina maybe it would pique his interest, but like those are some things that he wants to win the Stanley Cup. That is his main goal. And I think he wants to look at a spot where he's going to be there long term. Again, I think it's going to be Edmonton, but we're playing here today. It's the off season. Give me a break, right? But to me, I think this is going to be huge. And so I want to see what he can do. So starting off, let's do the trade. Okay, so I'm going to call it a trade. Basically, what I'm going to call it as a trade is that I'm going to say basically what we're seeing for the Mikko Rantanen deal. So if I go to trades, so again, if you're not using Cup Puckpedia, this is phenomenal. Like it's a great site. I'm going to go and we're going to make a trade. So trade, we'll click a trade. Our trading partner is the Edmonton Oilers. Who are we sending? Well, they are sending Connor McDavid on a 1-year contract. Ooh, okay. So what are the Red Wings going to send over, right? Well, Mikko Rantanen went for 2 firsts, right? 2 thirds. And I think the Red Wings, again, we'll just throw another first in there. It's fine. Like, it's fine. We're also going to throw in a player of Stankoven's like level. I think for who 22-year-old put up a ton of points in the AHL and potentially could do really and start to do well in the NHL. I know people are gonna hate me for this, but Amadeus Lombardi is looking pretty good. He's again, if you don't know who he is, I'll show just to show you. Oh, not a first, second, and third round. I want draft. We got to go a first round and a first round. Okay, so there you go. 3 first rounders. And I'm saying Amadeus Lombardi. Amadeus Lombardi is adorable, by the way. He is, if you haven't seen him, he's so precious. He had this very long hair. Then he shaved his head, and it's sad, but he's 5'10", 165 pounds. And to give you an idea of what Logan Stankoven is, like Logan Stankoven is 5'8" and 165 pounds. So Amadeus has 2 inches on him. And so Logan Stankoven, and just to preview, I'm going to show you guys the actual Mikko Rantanen and Logan Stankoven, and is it an exact replica? No, absolutely not. But in this trade, the Dallas Stars acquired Mikko Rantanen from the Carolina Hurricanes for Logan Stankoven, Amadeus Lombardi, a conditional 2026 first round pick, a conditional 2028 first round pick, and 2 thirds. So I mean, it's because of McDavid. I threw another third in there. Whatever you want to call the value. I'm just doing this to say, hey, that's gonna wipe out their whole prospect pool, or prospects for the next several years, but it's okay. But with this, you can see it's a huge deal. Again, we're assuming McDavid's going to stay and all that jazz. It's fine. It's not the purpose of the trade. So Red Wings officially get McDavid. Where's the trade button? I'm missing it. Submit trade. Boom. Okay. So Red Wings now have Connor McDavid. So what does that look like? God, there's no first round picks in the next couple of years. So cool. All right. So we are officially there. So now Connor McDavid is, of course, now this is where I started to have some of these questions. Okay. So we're going to make a lot of assumptions here. It's kind of crazy. So, but now we are at a 24-man roster, right? So first off, one, you got to ask, you're like, okay, well, you have a captain who's a first line center. And you're like, Connor McDavid, well, of course he's going to be the first line center then, right? I mean, even Mark Stahl plays third line center on the Carolina Hurricanes. So, okay. So Connor McDavid is a first line center now. Okay. So now Dylan Larkin, well, that's got to be your second line center, right? Yep. Okay, totally. Now, who becomes your left winger? Marco Kasper, right? Because Marco Kasper thrived last year as a left winger, especially when the Todd father, Todd McClellan, came in. Okay, so that makes sense now, right? So I'm just doing a reconfiguration of all this as if Connor McDavid was here. So now this is where I started to get a little it started getting like a little precarious, right? So with Connor McDavid, can shoot and score. Great, awesome. Do you want Dylan Larkin as your second line center? Or do you want him on the top line with Marco Kasper? What is the best utilization of Dylan Larkin and the players that you're looking at? Connor McDavid can play with anybody, but you play Dylan Larkin with DeBrincat and Kane, awesome. Like that is still really good, right? You're still gonna get a guy that can pass and score. I mean, honestly, I think he'd complement Kane and DeBrincat really well. Those are all USN TDP guys. Phenomenal. I'm not mad about that at all. So do you want Connor McDavid playing with two young guys though? Like, do you want him playing with a Lucas Raymond and a Marco Kasper? I'd argue Lucas Raymond is probably okay. But on the top line, do you want to put him with a rookie? Like a rookie like Marco Kasper? By the way, love Marco Kasper. He's not the caliber of player that Connor McDavid normally plays with. It's usually a higher, not that Marco Kasper's not smart, not that he's not intelligent, but can he play with the same pace that you're looking at with Connor McDavid? Which is where I started, this is why I started to do some of these, you're like, okay, what makes the most sense? Because the thing is Red Wings are not a great center depth organization, right? And so you want to say, okay, what can we do with, do you want to use Dylan Larkin on the wing? Is that a waste of his talent? I'd argue yes, but the thing is who else is a strong enough player to play with him? And it's not Soderblom, right? It's not. You're looking at the prospects. Let's go to our prospects, right? You have Carter Mazur, again, pretty young, kind of a Marco Kasper kind of player, like in the dirty areas, cool. Maybe Nate Danielson's not there, right? Like there's just not really a guys that are good enough to play with a Connor McDavid. And again, that's the conversation I'm putting out to you guys, the audience. Is Marco Kasper it? Probably not. I think we have to swap Dylan Larkin and Marco Kasper. Because to me, you're just looking at this high intelligence, high capability, and be able to keep up with the speed of Connor McDavid, right? I'm not saying Marco Kasper is slow. I'm saying Dylan Larkin is fast. And I'm talking about Connor McDavid being one of the fastest players in the league. Dylan Larkin has won speed skating, fastest skater competitions at the All-Star game, right? So you have Dylan Larkin, Connor McDavid, Lucas Raymond. I think that just makes so much more sense to do something like that, because what are we doing here, guys, right? So in this case, I think Dylan Larkin on the wing with Connor McDavid and Lucas Raymond, I think makes just too much sense. And again, I think Marco Kasper, you want him to end up as a center. So I think you kind of groom him into a center position. And if he ends up flipping to the wing anyways, that's fine. Put him at the center position. Because you're not doing Cop. You're not doing JT Miller, like Mason Appleton. Maybe not. Rasmussen could play. If you start him in the offensive zone, I could see Rasmussen playing with Connor McDavid. But if you're starting the first line in the defensive zone, like Michael Rasmussen he has to start skating from the faceoff just to be able to beat Connor to the offensive zone. Like it'd be so difficult to do that. So I'm feeling okay about this. I'm feeling okay that Dylan Larkin and Connor McDavid play with Lucas Raymond. And then you have DeBrincat, Marco Kasper, Patrick Kane. I like that a lot. And I think now the odd guy out on the up top line or whatever is James Van Riemsdyk, who plays left wing. I'd say right now it's Comfer, Mason Appleton. I'm moving JT Comfort down. I'm moving Cop to the center, and I'm doing James Van Riemsdyk as your left winger. Then you have Mason Appleton, Jonathan Berggren, Michael Rasmussen. I think it's between Elmer Soderblom and Jonathan Berggren on the wing, right now, I think because you have Elmer Soderblom to a 2-year contract, I think they're trying to move Jonathan Berggren. So I think it's because you have Elmer Soderblom for 2 years. I think what you do is you put Michael Rasmussen up there and you scratch Elmer Soderblom. Again, you got him on a 2-year contract. So if he plays a little less minutes this time, that's fine. You can always move him around if you need to. And Jonathan Berggren, you're looking to get some assets for him. I'm hoping they can get like a 3rd-round pick for him at least. That'd be really nice. And then you have on your right D, you're like, okay, so we have too many guys. So I'm gonna send this Elmer Soderblom to the press box. Can I do it? Nope, you can't send him to the press box. But I am gonna waive Justin Hall. Justin Hall is going to be sent down. Send him down, and then I'm gonna send you. I'm Soderblom. You are going to the press box. So your offense looks like this. By the way, I'm actually gonna mess with the defense first before I tell you what I'm doing with the offense. For you podcast listeners, just for now who are not on YouTube. So we got a Ben Sherratt, Moritz Seider, sure, because that's all you got, right? And a Simon Edvinsson, Albert Johansson on the right side, which is I'm still blown away that this 24-year-old is playing second pair right D. Eric Gustafsson on the left side, Travis Hamonic on the right side. I do really would like to see Jacob Bernard-Docker. I think he's a good bet. I really like him. I think he's still an RFA at the end of this year too, so the Red Wings will still have control over him. So I'm okay with him. Like, hey, okay, you got him under contract, so let's keep him here. Let's kind of get him some reps in and everything. In my opinion, I think Travis Hamonic starts over Jacob Bernard-Docker. But I mean, it could be either or. I think those are guys you just swap, right? I think your top 4 is solidify with Ben Sherratt. Yeah, I guess that would be it. I guess because you're not bringing up an Axel Palika. If you're looking at defense, you're not bringing up an Anto Tuomisto and Anton Johansson. Waive Justin Hall, that's fine. Yeah. Why do they have Axel on the right side? No, they are not. This is disorganized down here. That's fine. But anyways, so if you're talking about for these podcast listeners, so we have Dylan. So our left to right, for the offensive zone, Dylan Larkin, Connor McDavid, Lucas Raymond. Wow, wow, that'd be so much fun. Same as we saw before, a DeBrincat, Marco Kasper, Patrick Kane. Like that a lot. Still, that worked out well last year. I think we're seeing DeBrincat's defensive numbers looking a lot better. Of course, Marco Kasper is a lot better as well defensively. Patrick Kane is Patrick Kane. So do with what you want of that, right? You have James Van Riemsdyk playing that depth position down on the third line. Andrew Kopp, Mason Appleton. Again, Mason Appleton is going to improve the penalty kill, which I really hope for that on the second PP unit. Michael Rasmussen, JT Compher, and Jonathan Berggren. And then again, for the offense, we have Austin Watson and Elmer Soderblom in the press box. For the defense, Ben Sherratt, Moritz Seider. Sure, it's not a great option, but it is what it is. Simon Edvinsson, Albert Johansson, second pair. Eric Gustafsson, Hamonic on the third pair. Jacob Bernard-Docker. And of course, you have John Gibson, your 1A. Cam Talbot, your 1B. But John Gibson, in my opinion, will start 45 to 50. In my opinion, this is what I think for the goalies. I think eventually Costa does come up. I think either you have a Gibson who's 32, you have a Cam Talbot who's 38. Old goalies get hurt. It just is how it happens. And we've seen it. We've gone through a plethora of goalies as Red Wings fans. To me, I think Costa gets some games. And I'll tell you more about Costa right after this. We gotta pay some bills. So we're gonna talk DraftKings for a hot second, and we'll jump right back into it right after this. Game on. Week 1 starts now, and every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This isn't just football. It's first touchdown fireworks, anytime TD rusters, and live bets that ride every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. And you know, I'm a Red Wings fan, but I got the love for the Detroit Lions, and I think they got the chances at a Super Bowl. And you can check out those chances at DraftKings Sportsbook. Check it out and use the promo code THPN. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV.
Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code THPN. That's code THPN to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
And we are back, and we are finishing talking about John Gibson, Cam Talbot. So in my opinion, I think because Kosa can get up to 9 games this year and not like burn a year of a ZLC. So to me, I could see him getting a minimum of, I think, at least 3 to 5 games, I'd say. So you're talking about 84 games this year, right? 3 to 5 games. Let's call it 4 and make it easy. So 80 games left. I think Gibson gets 45. I think Tao gets 35. And I think those numbers just work out better for the players. We've seen Gibson, it's been a while, take a big brunt, but we start to see guys start to tail off when they start to play too many games. Last year, the Red Wings played Talbot 47 games, and he did okay, but he did start to get tired, man. He just started to get tired, and that's what happens when you have older goalies. And goalies this year, nowadays need to be playing a little bit less. That's why you have these tandems. You see very rarely you see guys that had just like single starters, right? Like the Hunter Hellebucks, the Bobrovskys, the Vasilevskys. But if you look at what like Gibson did with the Ducks, like has not had phenomenal numbers, I'd say. He's been floating between like since 1920 season, he's been between like a 904 and an 888. So in 23-24 and 888 save percentage. Mind you, this past year with the Ducks, 29 games played, a 277 goals against on the Anaheim Ducks, and then 912 save percentage. Like that's good. That's a really good save percentage. Now, mind you, assuming he's going to play about 45 games instead, like 45 games. My assumption is 45 because I think you're going to let Talbot take a little step back and save a little bit of him. I think that probably drops to like a 905, which would be fine. I'd be okay with that. And Talbot now, instead of playing 47 games, he's playing like 35, maybe 38. Like now you're getting him for a little more, like a couple more, like less games, like 8 less games right there. Like his body's gonna be saved a little extra, right? So I can see that's why I think seeing him, Talbot's taking a step forward, Gibson maybe taking a step back a little bit, but like I think overall it evens out really well, and you get competent goaltending throughout the whole thing, as opposed to like rolling out a Husso and a Lion and trying to fill these gaps, and it's just not working. Even Mrazek, right? Remember, Red Wings had 4 goalies last year: Talbot, Mrazek, after the trade deadline, right? Lion and Husso. So Husso now is in Anaheim Ducks. They signed him. Mrazek was in the trade for Gibson. Alex Lyon signed with the Sabres. So that's why I think Costa is going to get at least a couple of games, just kind of fill in and maybe take over one of these guys, even just to see what you got, because I think there's a lot of value to that, right? And if he earns it, like you need to see what you have, because you spent a first, a second, and like a 4th round pick, I think, or a 5th round pick to get this guy. And then the Dallas, and you trade with the Dallas Stars, and Dallas Stars traded their 15th pick away, 15th overall pick for your 23, again, a second and a 5th or whatever. And with their 23rd overall pick, they picked Wyatt Johnston, who's been in the NHL and is dominating, is on an $8 million contract right now. And Costa has not even broken out. Now, mind you, goalies take so much longer, but you have to see what you have, because you'd see, is it worth keeping? Is it worth trading? Like, we know that Edmonton Oilers are looking for a long-term solution. Like maybe Costa is that long-term solution, because Trey Augustin's looking really good in the NCAA for Michigan State. So we have to consider that. So we are not done with the episode. I do want to throw one other thing in there. I thought this was really relevant, especially for the Red Wings as well. But let me know what your thoughts are on my McDavid trade. Again, it's relevant on the pieces. I mean, irrelevant, right? They're going to give up a ton. Is it going to happen? Probably not, but this is the fun stuff. Like, let's have fun with this. So one thing I do want to talk about in regards to the Red Wings, let's zoom in on this bad boy. Frank Saravalli talks about this. The NHL sources, the NHL and NHLPA have agreed to a rolling implementation schedule for the CBA changes. Among them, the new playoff salary cap system will come into effect this season for the 2026 Stanley Cup Playoffs, which means that the team can be over the salary cap in the playoffs, but the team that they ice has to be, like, based on their AAV, has to be within the salary cap era, right? So what we saw before with Kucherov taking a whole year off, all 82 games, and then coming back just for the playoffs and winning the Stanley Cup with Tampa Bay Lightning, that will not happen. With Matthew Tkachuk, who just went in for surgery and will not be back until before the Olympics, he will have to be, the Florida Panthers will have to be within cap structure to be able to, like, they have to follow the rules in the Stanley Cup, which is kind of nice, but it's also kind of a bummer because you're like, oh, dang it, like some of these teams get so stacked the way they just stack guys up, and it makes it more fun. So, but I understand it. Like it's like, oh, why do we have this system during the season, the regular season, but not during the playoffs? I understand it doesn't make sense to have two different systems. It's the same way. Like I also disagree with icing during, like, getting rid of icing during a power play. Hot take. Like just keep it consistent. Like these rules for new fans make it easy, make hockey like easy to understand, right? So you're like, oh, well, there's salary cap during the regular season, but they're not during the playoffs. Well, why is that? Like, oh, because it's more fun. But like, that's not necessarily a good reason to do that. It can be more confusing for some people. Honestly, I care about these kind of things. Like a half-hearted fan, not a half-hearted, a fan that is a fair weather fan probably doesn't care, right? But to me, I think that makes sense. Like also, like with a power play, like why can the team now ice the puck? That doesn't make sense to me. You are in a penalty. Like you are in a bad position. Like you did a bad thing. You did a no-no. Just keep icing. That doesn't make sense to me at all. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. But to me, there's a second thing here that he has as well. Players will have until September 15th, 2026 to sign deals with the current structure, term, signing bonus, and variability. All deals signed after September 16th, 2026 will be subject to the new CBA. Also, changes to the players' dress code and players' ability to endorse wine, spirits begins again. Okay, cool. So let's do the changes to dress code and players' ability to endorse wine, spirits again. Cool. Like you can, like, Pink Whitney can now have McDavid on there. Cool. Like basically that's what it is. Dress code. Like I think it's cool in there, all suits and everything, but I understand teams, express themselves. I think as long as you're not showing up in, like, I don't know, like sweats, I guess. I think you should have a little more fun in the fashion. I think Austin Matthews does a great job with it. I love the Line A, like brims hats. Like Marner does it too. Like there's some guys that have some real C's. William Nylander, of course. I'm just talking about these guys because these are the guys that we've seen the most of. I think Moritz Seider does a really good job with his suits as well. I'm really excited to see how the Red Wings players take it on this dress code thing. And I'm sure Steve Eisen will make them still dress nicely, but it'll just be with a little more flair, I'd say. The current structure means that in the new CBA, when a team has a player under their control, currently they can sign him to an 8-year deal. And if a player hits a UFA, they can only sign him to a 7-year deal. We saw Brandon Montour was with the Florida Panthers. He signed a 7-year deal with the Seattle Kraken for $7 million. Now, as opposed to if he had signed with the Florida Panthers, so that's 7 times 7 is $49 million. I don't think it was $7 million, but either way. So that's $49 million. If he had stayed with the Florida Panthers and still wanted to make $49 million a year, well, instead of being a 7x7, he could do an 8x6, 8 by 6.1, 8 by 6.1.5, basically, which would be still around $49 million. 8 times 6 is $48 million plus whatever. So that allows him to still make his money because NHL contracts are guaranteed. But actually, I'll leave that. But NHL contracts are guaranteed. So Montour would still get his money. He would just get it over 8 years instead of 7 years. So we saw this as well, like with guys who wanted to stay with the Florida Panthers. So this Ekblad, right? Instead of like an 8-year deal, again, he took 8 by 6.1. I'm pretty sure it was. That's why I said 6.1 before. But let's say he took in, again, like a team would have had to pay more for Ekblad. It was the UFA. Like the Red Wings tried to reach out. They tried to get Ekblad, right? To get him an equivalent of the 8.68 times 8 years times $6 million a year that the Florida Panthers signed him for, they would have had to pay him $7 million a year as opposed to $68 million a year because they wouldn't be able to offer that extra year. So in this case, the current structure, this means that Yzerman can sign guys. So this is after July 1st of next year too. So think about this. Who are guys who need new contracts next year? Simon Edmondson will need a new contract this year. So that means he can sign an 8-year deal, right? We can sign Marco Kasper at the end or after July 1st. We'll have 1 year left on his contract. That means you could still, because July 1st to September 15th, you could sign him, Marco Kasper, to an 8-year contract, right? DeBrincat has 1 year left. I wouldn't sign him to an 8-year contract, but you could do it theoretically, right? If you're looking at some other guys, Jacob Bernard-Docker, let's say he just thrives in the role. You can sign him to an 8-year deal, right? Carter Mazur, I don't think you sign him to an 8-year deal. You could, again, theoretically, right? And then who else needs a contract? Oh, Sebastian Cossa. Maybe this guy, by the way, he's only 22 years old. He is not a bust. He's 22 years old. Going to take a long time. Cossa, if you're like, hey, man, we're going to bet the farm on you. We're going to give you a $4 million or $5 million deal for 8 years. That would be like, hey, this is guaranteed money. It's $40 million immediately, right? If it works out, great. If it doesn't, then you just have this really long contract, right? It's a risk for sure, but like this is something you could do with these guys, right? A Carter Gylander, Antti Tuomisto, a Justin Hall. Maybe you want Justin Hall for 8 more years, right? Take him until he's 41 years old. But this is the reason that's important that you need to sign guys under this. So Yzerman basically has up until training camp next year to get these guys on lock. So those are some of the big news that I wanted to talk about and everything. So I hope you guys had a good time. Like I said, this is like, it's just fun. It's just fun to do stuff like this where you're like, oh, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, just talking about like, hey, like crazy things like McDavid coming to the Red Wings, which would be sick. Doesn't mean it's going to be true, but it's cool and fun to talk about because off-season content, baby. But we got hockey this month. It is September 2nd. We're going to have a great time. I'm so excited to record some more. My goal is to be giving a video after every Red Wings game this season. That is the goal. So you can stick by me. You can hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I love you guys so much. I'll catch you in the next one because I'm not leaving. I'm coming. I'm back, baby. I'm back and I love you. Peace.